afternoon. I'm Daniel Miller, and this is my daily podcast for Monday, 10th of May 2021. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants and viewers on various platforms worldwide. Thank you for joining us and thank you for being here with us today. A wonderful weekend we had here. It was the beginning of my new season of broadcasts here on Twitch. We had a very lengthy Warzone marathon taking place on Friday and Saturday. Altogether I streamed probably about 20 hours of gameplay, and I'm very pleased to say that lots of our regulars, our community members and squad mates, members of TW BBC Regiment, popped in, had a look and joined forces together with us. Most importantly, we did bring in several new members who were selected from the random pool of gamers through Warzone, and I'm delighted to say that everything is as it should be. The community is energetic and vibrant and growing, and we are carrying on as always. So, what was your weekend like? What games are you playing at the moment? Are you entertaining perhaps Resident Evil Village? Or maybe you're looking at Returnal, the games that we talked about on our previous podcasts, and the games that indeed have been released recently and are attracting a lot of attention. We did hear that a lot of hot anticipation is indeed building up prior to the Legendary Edition Mass Effect release, and that indeed is going to be on Friday of this week. So we're very, very excited, and we'll be looking at some of the news that come in during this weekend in relation to the release. I'll give you a list of everything that we are to be expecting, so hopefully if you are one of the dedicated Mass Effect fans and veterans like myself, we are definitely delighted and excited to see that the game is just about to arrive to our desk. Secondly, I'm very excited to see whether they will include it on Xbox Game Pass. Evidently, they want, well, BioWare want everyone to be pre-ordering, and therefore we've seen nothing at all of that sort coming in on the wire, but it's possible that on Thursday night we'll get some news. The reason I'm assuming this, or at least anticipating or hoping that Microsoft will consider this, is that we had a recent inclusion of EA Play platform into the Game Pass. So many games, about 50-60 games, have joined forces with the Microsoft regulars and exclusives, and therefore we know that EA is releasing Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and it's basically part and parcel of everything that they have to offer. But you know, they have several platforms. Some of these that offer the Division and AAA blockbusters are I guess based on their subscriptions, and they have not been fully integrated with Xbox Game Pass compared to EA Play, that was offering quite a variety of older games and AAA blockbusters such as Mass Effect, Dragon Age and Battlefield, as well as some of the other golden oldies and sports related games. So, you know, a lot to look forward to. We're very excited about this Friday and all that is to follow. Anyway, my weekend was great. I had a lot of fun with my community, and sadly we had some really bad weather here in our local area in London suburbs, and you know, Saturday in particular was very, very, very wet, and the first big wet day in quite a few weeks really around here, so therefore there was no better time to spend really at home but by being engaged fully with our community here live online through Twitch and our favourite games. And I'm pleased to say we had lots of participants, and it did feel like 2 days, particularly Friday and Saturday, were really buzzing with energy. I've got to say, lots of our friends were having their dinners at a time when I was doing Warzone yesterday, as this was indeed in the late afternoon, and you know, it was still very enjoyable as I was able to squad up with Joel. We had quite a few good matches, and we nearly won actually 2 or 3 matches, but slightly unlucky. And you know, doing it with the randoms, two of us, and obviously with the other guys coming in from the pool of resources out there on Warzone. It's a tricky old game. It is basically hit and miss, and we were very happy to have had a duo joining us on Friday, and we just blended perfectly, and we played probably one of the very best team effort matches I've ever seen here on Warzone with my squad. Won the match. It was the last match on Friday, so if you're interested you can just go to the broadcast, which is on Twitch, and go back to the end. The last half hour is the match, and you'll be able to see that we actually we conducted several tip-top section attacks on the enemy positions, probably about half dozen, and each one of them resulted in the elimination of the full squad. So it was very, very good, and we were a bit fortunate towards the end with the circle, unlike yesterday, which we were very unfortunate as the circle worked definitely against us a couple of times and therefore hampered our efforts. Also in the last match of the day we were literally, I think, 10 seconds away from victory, but sadly the other two guys who were with us were not really playing as a team, and therefore there was two of us against a team of four that jumped us. And you know, that's the way it is with Battle Royale. You got to be having your full squad fully on board, and people need to be considering what the team effort actually means. Right, I told you that the channel will be going back to the old format to a degree, but I think mainly we'll be streaming AAA blockbusters, and that is obviously the big games here on the channel: Destiny 1 and 2, Apex and Warzone. So these are the games that will be really creating our new community membership and bringing in new participants. And in addition to that, we'll have DRBMiller introducing, which is in fact going to be unraveling before us today at 2 o'clock. We'll be introducing a game that I really want to play for quite some time, and the game is Peaky Blinders. It's a wonderful turn-based strategy game that has been offered to us free of charge on Xbox this weekend, so we'll try to introduce it to our viewers. And I've got to say, I really enjoyed, I really absolutely loved my gameplay of Empire of Sin, which I'm still playing, and together with Yakuza. I keep forgetting, I played Yakuza and The Outer Worlds and Empire of Sin, but I kept forgetting Empire of Sin on every day of this week, and I didn't really tell you anything about it. Anyway, Peaky Blinders is going to be introduced today. It's very similar in concept, and we have turn-based strategy blending in with RPG, and I was a bit frosty really on the concept, I've got to admit, prior to the Empire of Sin gameplay here, and just loved it. It's just absolutely amazing, and it's included on Game Pass, so if you're interested you can hit it up and try all that it has to offer. It's got beautiful graphics, it's wonderfully atmospheric, and it is really a tricky new concept that we've seen now with Empire of Sin and Gears Tactics. And I've got to say, I have to confess, I'm a Gears of War fan and veteran. I played all of the installments. For whatever reason, I still have not played Gears Tactics, and I think probably some unconscious in the back of my mind there must have been an inkling that perhaps this is not really Gears of War because it's a turn-based strategy. I'm not really that keen on this, and blah 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 blah, which is complete nonsense. And I guess it brings me back to the old turn-based strategy games that I played on PC, and the new ones, like for instance Wasteland Trilogy, is phenomenal. I mean, it's the best possible type of RPG you can have, with wonderful storytelling, plenty of characters, lot of activities, many quests. But I guess maybe it's to do with the POV, the fact you are watching everything from the like bird's eye from above, and that really is not. I'm not really that keen on that, I've got to admit. And fortunately we are able to zoom in, so we come quite close to characters, but still I prefer the other. Nevertheless, whatever. These games are absolutely wonderful, and I can most highly recommend Wasteland Trilogy, probably Wasteland 3 being the best out of 3, and Empire of Sin, as you will have a lot of fun. And it's a thinking man's game. You will need to be considering how to rebuild your characters, your environment, and you're playing about 14 different gangsters. It's 14 different types of replay. Every time you get a different story, and the story will be dependent on what you actually do, the way you are building enterprise, which is a criminal enterprise in Chicago 1920s. So if you like film noir gangster films, if you like jazz, well, that is going to be absolutely your niche, so definitely try it. And I'm pleased to say we'll be doing Peaky Blinders at 2 o'clock today. Curious to see whether it will compare well, whether we'll have it shoulder to shoulder with Empire of Sin. One way or the other, really, it is going to be a very, very enjoyable exercise. And right, so that's all about the channel. And I've not seen really anyone sending me many messages this weekend. I guess obviously I've been away for a little while, a 3-week break, and people will take a bit of time to catch up with my podcasts and all that we are doing in here. But I did have some questions coming in from our regulars, and they were asking about Destiny and Outriders. So thank you to Sam, thank you to Jonathan, thank you to Rebecca, thank you to Jessica for your questions. And Outriders and Destiny are coming back to the channel. I've got to say, considering the overall duration of my streams and the new concept I introduced earlier this year with a stream per activity rather than just one length of stream, it's been a bit difficult for me to connect with everything. And at the moment, I think Destiny community is slightly asleep, and people are, there aren't that many veterans who are playing Destiny 2 at the moment. And I did stream Destiny 2 recently, well, earlier in the year, and it was a good experience, but we didn't have the same buzzy atmosphere compared to what we did have here on the channel for about 2 years as we did in Destiny 1. Destiny 1 also had become a bit quiet, and what I'll do this week, from tomorrow, I'll do a bit of Destiny 1. And then we'll see whether our friends come back. I know that, for instance, Donzak and Flying Pirates and Sakapupu and Dark Haunting and various other people will come in and say hello. But it's all about building the new community. You always have your regulars who will come in and have a look, but you also want new people to join. Online communities are about constant evolution, constant communication and connectivity, and I think Warzone is performing probably the best at the moment because we have quite a sizable group of veterans who are here with us every day, and they're also watching the platform, providing us comments on the stream, as well as we are getting continuously, because obviously I play with lots of randomly selected gamers, also new people who are becoming part of our community. I'm pleased to say we already had about half dozen this weekend, and they're wonderful people. They're really the gamers that I really want to have on my channel, ethical and people who love gaming, and people who are dedicated to entertainment rather than competition, and also people who are prepared to help others if you are in an arena with others who are perhaps rookies, not familiar with activity. And similar to Empire of Sin, Warzone, contrary to what some people say, is a thinking man's game. This is not a game about having quick chasing quick scores and eliminating opponents initially. It's all about the tactics and strategies that your squad will have, and better the tactics, greater results. So if I'm not mistaken, Joel had 18 wins in quads so far, which is truly remarkable. It's outstanding. I think he has probably more wins than anybody else I've played with, and it's a true pleasure and privilege to have a veteran who is so successful with his matches to be fully on board, and obviously somebody who's as nice, as attentive, and as helpful to rookies. So it's really truly wonderful, and I'm very grateful to Joel for his participation and also for his contribution here on the channel, because it's all really truly appreciated. We always want to have a selection of people who are regulars and who are really providing us with additional content creation, and most importantly that they are waving the flag of ethical gaming, and that's the bottom line. We want to have that at all times, everywhere. We want to make sure that we are spearheading the effort of gamers who are wanting to make this world to be a better place for us all. It's just a simple a notion, simple, noble idea that we have. And I certainly have updated my Twitch channel rules, because I had some questions coming in response to activities in Warzone. I played with quite a variety of people, and there were some questions about some people being very competitive and a bit pushy, and obviously I tackled that, and my moderators attended to it. I think basically what we want to have is an 18+ game in a family-friendly environment, and we want to have an atmosphere which is basically providing a forum for people to learn, so they can watch what we play and they can learn from what we do. And there's some basic principles in Warzone. As you know, you're dropping to certain areas, you want to be far away from the flight path, you don't want to be immediately having incursions, and you want to get good loot, get as much money as possible, do some contracts, get your loadout, and then you're ready to tackle any kind of hostilities. And people need to learn the drill. The game's not been around for long, so we're talking about 14 months so far, 15 months, no, 14 months I think so far, and I've been with it from the very beginning, and very, very pleased to say that the community, ever since they've gone cross-platform, had become bigger, better, and more ethical. So that's really absolutely wonderful, and will continue to be this way, because Warzone today is most commonly played battle royale on the planet. I think it's overtaken PUBG, and PUBG is presently played mainly on PC, because to be fair, I played it quite a bit on Xbox and PlayStation during the last 12 months. It doesn't really perform well. This is not a game for console. They've not really invested. They've not worked on all that had to be completed in order to make the game as smooth as possible. It has lots of technical issues, and it doesn't perform. I mean, on Xbox in particular, it's a fluke. Basically, it's just really bad. It doesn't really perform technically, and so if you are a PUBG veteran, you will be playing it either on a PC or on Android. On Android it performs beautifully, and I played it on my Sony Xperia 5-4 quite a bit recently, and played solos, not quads, and not trios I should say. There are quads in there, and it's been a very enjoyable experience. Unfortunately, for some people who are using older handsets, they experience the problem that I have here with my internet connection on consoles, which means due to the internet connection, due to the due to the processing speed that Sony Xperia 5 has, it's the top-notch gamers fine, state-of-the-art, very recent. It's I think it's about 6 months old. You know, everybody who's an older phones is not able to access the servers quick enough. So it means that what happens to me here, where I get easily killed in CQBs and you know, any kind of close quarter battles and skirmishes due to the speed connectivity problems, because I have the lag that lasts between 1 and 3 seconds depending on what the other guy has. You know, our internet speed here is absolutely abysmal. Upload of just one ordinary broadband. We don't have fiber in our local area. That is what's happening to others when they're playing against me PUBG on Android. So, you know, such is life. And I get really quite a few kills in that, and it's quite interesting because I could see that people are firing at me and they're aiming quite precisely on, you know, on Android, and they're just you know, not able to kill me. And that's exactly what happens to me. It happens to me when I'm doing it here on console, and therefore, you know, people ask, why are you playing just squads? Why don't you go to some other maps? Why don't you do some solos? Why don't you do Rebirth? Well, the answer is simple. Quads are a full team effort, and I've got to be relying on other people 100% in order to complete a task. So, for instance, as you've seen in my gameplay here, what I do is I'll provide reconnaissance, I provide target indication, and Charlie team members or people who are on very fast fiber then go forward and eliminate the enemy. But we work together as a team. I'm always somewhere towards the back and making sure that I'm spotting the enemies that are likely to be tackling my teammates, and that works really well. So I don't get many kills, but you know, I get killed quite a few times because frequently if I'm behind doing reconnaissance, just like, you know, if you're in the field, you got to be able to get out quick because nobody else is watching you. So that's the trouble, and the team always benefits tremendously, but you know, sometimes I do not, but that's really not an issue because that's just part of our strategies. And I think when we have Joel and Hunter fully on board, and Paphos and Spurs, we are working as a perfect unit and, you know, getting the results done and dusted. So a lot more Warzone to come. Warzone stream today will be at 3 o'clock. We'll have 3 to 7, I think, 4 hours of action and activity. I'm looking forward to this, and I want to have that degree of continuity. I've got to say, other questions come in about double streams or triple streams, but I'm not really that keen on this. I think I'm quite happy with my podcast, because podcast basically is the extraction of my usual broadcast introduction I've had for 2 years. And you know, people said, well, we want to play the game. We don't really want to be sitting and waiting in there as you are telling us all about the industry. And can that be delivered in different format? And yeah, why not? You know, because people see on their notifications that I'm doing my podcast. If they want to listen to it, they can, and they can listen to it as they play their own game. You see, and that is what does happen. I have some community members who are doing their own game, but they always listen to our podcast. That's great. It's fantastic. So thanks very much to everyone who suggested this, because I thought initially, well, you know, it was partly connected to the way Twitch works, the way it has its own diagnostics, the way the hours add up and everything. So basically, I thought doing everything within one lengthy broadcast was indeed going to be most beneficial. But nevertheless, even if I split them up, there's about, I think, 15-20 minutes in between, which will still allow that separate broadcast to be registering as one lengthy one. So, you know, I don't lose in that situation, and in fact, I'm providing a better format for everyone to enjoy. So that's been working out really well. And so I want to say that for me, doing the podcast first, which is usually about 90 to about 60 90 minutes long, then followed up by a major stream, and then that's it. When we are doing the introducing sessions, they're fairly short, they're about 60 minutes long, and they blend in perfectly, which is just really strolling through a game, having a look at what the game's about, rather than being, getting your teeth into it. The idea is that, a bit like watching trailers, you give a bit of gameplay for people to discover whether you want to crack on with that particular game. But coming back to the gaming overall, you will see today that the vast majority of people have converted the gaming activity to streaming platforms, and that's on PS Now and Xbox Game Pass. I know that these platforms are not available in all corners of the planet. I'm very sorry and very sad to say that. I think these are the most advanced, revolutionary methods and facilities we've been given since the initiation of video gaming, because quite frankly I bought many more games immediately as I play them on these streaming platforms than before. And the reason was simple: I didn't have to be worrying whether my investment will be worthwhile. Like, the old days, 15 years ago, you would go to your local CX and you would buy a game, and you would not know really what the game was like before you basically placed it in your console and played it. And therefore I'd be resorting to the blockbusters, the biggest names and titles, and the ones which are a safe bet. So therefore the collection will not be perhaps as massive as is great, considering, well, put it this way, we're talking about new games. I would be always waiting for them to be around for a little while for the price to drop, and then I will get them on the best price. But for the older games, I would still collect and buy some of those that I've not really had high expectations for, just because I was curious. But that's all gone today, because with those streaming services you can try everything on a subscription price, and there's no liability or any extra investment. Makes it really cost effective, and actually, to be frank, it's quite deceptive. You look at it and you think your subscription to, let's say, Xbox Game Pass is, for instance, £10.99 a month, so that's 12 times a year. We are talking about 120, 24, so that would be 140, altogether about 170, 180 pounds a year I invest in, the in Microsoft. But what's interesting is, if I try the platform and I see every week lots of great discounts, I will spend maybe 10, 15 pounds, 20 pounds in the course of that particular week in order to get some of the new games. So if you look at it, having a double whammy of investment. I'm investing in Microsoft through my subscription, and then I'm obviously purchasing the games. Microsoft will get a percentage, and everything will just mount up. So what it means is, it makes my investment much more worthwhile and secure, because I know, for instance, Peaky Blinders, they offered it on a very good price, which in a few pounds, couple of weeks ago I think it was. And I thought, should I buy it or not? But I'm going to try the game. I'm not sure. I'm not really that keen on turn-based strategy, and this is a wonderful opportunity. So the game is as good as I expect it to be, and it's offered on a discounted price. I'll buy it. Do you see what I mean? So I'm offered that free of charge through the streaming services, and I will be then getting the same copy for myself, just to make sure I have it for, for good, really, to be here with me in my library. So it's an interesting concept, which definitely is turning out to be very, very beneficial for everybody involved. And I just want to like to ask everyone to subscribe to these services and make sure that you're supporting all that is offered, because at the end of the day, similar to freebie weekends, if people do not download these games, do not try them, then the publishers and the developers will think, well, there's enough interest, there's no point of us doing it, because it's costing them. Don't forget, the games are expensive to run through streaming services, and they will need to have some degree of return. So, that's extremely important. Equally, I would like you to try what Xbox is offering at the moment, and that is most significantly the xCloud services. If you have, Android or iOS, in fact, at the moment, they've just introduced the streaming xCloud access on iPhones as well, which has been disputed for about 6 months due to some legal issues. And try these games. And lots of the games do not require the external controller, so you can just simply pull out your phone and use your on-screen controls, and it's called touch controls, right? And you can just enjoy these games, platformers, some RPGs, some puzzlers, some story-driven missions. I think if you want to be doing Warzone or Destiny, that will be a bit tricky. The screen is going to be quite small, you will need a controller. Still try it, make sure that the services are supported, because really, at the end of the day, really future of the overall industry will be in cross-platform services that will include tablets and phones, and we've seen quite a number of developers working on the games, like for instance Apex being made accessible on Switch, where they want to have as many participants to come in as possible. But the idea is, similar to what we have today with Android. It doesn't matter where you are, you click on the app and you can access the content. So we've had that already with, let's say, messenger services, or WhatsApp and Zoom. It's not really as easily accessible when it comes to Netflix and film streaming services because of the licensing laws and regulations. But with the games, the idea is to be able to access them wherever you are. So, it's certainly the best way forward, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And also, most importantly, my knowledge on quite a variety of different games has been just massively expanding, because I could just download whatever is being introduced to the platform at the end of every week and try it all. Don't have to play every game, but you can try it, you can have a look. And obviously by downloading these games, you're supporting both the developers and the publishers, so therefore you are providing them with an investment, and you don't have to even buy it, but just make sure that they know that you are really using the service, which is really the bottom line. Alright, so these are the news about the channel, about my gaming. As said, I'm playing at the moment, outside of my broadcasts, The Outer Worlds, a fantastic RPG by Obsidian, also offered on Xbox Game Pass. Really love it, and probably becoming one of my all-time favorites, together with, well, it's quite a selection, but Mass Effect is my main, the best ever game, but therefore can't wait to try and can't wait to see how the Legendary Edition is going to work, because they reworked the graphics quite a bit, and there'll be some tweaks to the content, to the in-game mechanics, and very, very excited to see that, particularly in view of the problems that the first Mass Effect had on 360. So it will be probably very, very smooth and state-of-the-art. So hurry up, Friday, will you? We want to really see what the game is like. And in addition to The Outer Worlds, I'm doing Yakuza and Empire of Sin. So it's very, very big games, and 3 of them together is just plenty for not just a couple of days, but several months ahead. Right, so let's have a look at the news. Lots of news today, and during this weekend were indeed about, let me just see, oh, we've got loads of friends coming in. That's fantastic. Well, thank you guys for supporting the channel. Let us have a look. Let's see, we have Streamer Boost, and who else? Let me see. No, hang on. Streamer Boost, Streamer Wall, Social Links, supporting the stream. Thank you so much for that. We have Dante1LP, then we have Dr. Collision Streamer, SOS. We have again Streamer Wall, Social Links, and My Gaming Ahead supporting our streams. Well, that's fantastic. Who else do we have? Ian McPuffin, Logo Export Shop, and oops, that's wrong. Logo Export Shop. Rise Studio, Xbox Information. Terrific. Games Heroes, and 2 others. Who are the others? Let's see. Awesome Gamers, Live Streamers RT, X Stream Team. We have loads of people supporting our streams. That's wonderful. Thank you for that. Really great to see that people are enjoying all that we are doing in here, and it's wonderful to see that our community is constantly growing. But most important, remember, if you're a streamer, you do want others to be supporting you, and you want to be supporting them. So it's mutual. It's not follow for follow. It's simply that you want to be looking at other person's content, and then within your own online entity that will have Twitter and YouTube and Instagram and Discord, you will then raise the awareness of that person's channel and the content amongst your community members, who will then be having a look and providing that additional support. So just make it really as gentle as possible, but also do not send too many links which you've not looked at. You want to be providing recommendations, similar to what you do if you were talking to your friends about restaurants or places of interest. You will look at those that you really like. It's not the quantity, it's the quality. The first thing we look at today is Oops, I'm wrong actually. I beg your pardon. This is not about Legendary. They are, in view of the Legendary Edition being released this Friday, telling us a bit about Mass Effect 5. So that's even more exciting. So let's see what news we managed to get through Games Radar on Mass Effect 5. And they said, here's everything we know about the new Mass Effect game so far. A new Mass Effect game has been announced, and although it hasn't been officially called as yet Mass Effect 5, it's supposedly going to follow on from the original trilogy, so it's really a bit like Mass Effect 4, in fact, if you're looking at the story, because Andromeda indeed did not really carry on with the plot that we indeed completed at the end of Mass Effect 3. So the last N7 day treated Mass Effect fans everywhere to the news, and we've been all waiting to hear since the release of Mass Effect Andromeda. A new Mass Effect game is officially on the way, and alongside very welcome Mass Effect trilogy, which is expected to land in spring 2021, BioWare is also dropping the news that a veteran team is currently working to bring us Mass Effect 5. So they said yes, the stars really did align, and everything must have finally calibrated, because Mass Effect fans have a lot to look forward to in the future. Well, I agree. They really wanted to have a new series in addition to Mass Effect Anthem, and we've seen that Anthem backfired for many different reasons, and it's very, very sad to see. I just want to say to everyone that you shouldn't buy into the news that Anthem's been completely discontinued. It hasn't. They just placed everything on back burner. It's been kind of discontinued for the time being, but as you know, BioWare is a major publisher, and they are not going to be dropping the title and the work that's been completed, because Anthem was, first of all, the most expensive product they ever created, secondly the most ambitious, and thirdly the most complex in terms of them integrating multiplayer and in-game mechanics that the company was not familiar with, because they're well known for single-player games, BioWare that is, of course, and all of that needs to be worked through for some time, probably several years, in order to get it to a certain level. And it's much better to keep it quiet and tell to the world that the game has been discontinued, when in fact you're still doing the works, and then having a relaunch at a later stage, which is going to be fully embraced. I think everyone in BioWare wants Anthem to be kind of placed on the back burner, so people are not anymore flogging the rumors and the bad news and all sorts of defamatory comments and statements that were coming out from, coming out of woodwork, in fact, during those couple of years. And I personally was very, very displeased when I came across some of the comments I've seen in mainstream press. People didn't want to understand the difficulties and extremely intolerant. To be fair, BioWare did make some serious errors of judgment together with EA at the time when they were releasing the game. I thought they could have sat on a game for extra 2 years, and then, you know, the game would have been fully developed and without any major issues. But what they've done is they basically they've taken a team that worked on Anthem's 120, 130 man team, and they migrated all of them to the next two big titles, and these are obviously the next installment in Dragon Age series, as well as the Mass Effect 5. So we hear that BioWare is keeping a lot under wraps about the next entry. Thanks to the announcement trailer and the very first image that was released on 7, we do have some clues to dig into, so we gathered together every piece of Mass Effect related information into one place. So let's have a look. We have Mass Effect teaser trailer, and they want to provide us here with a breakdown. So during the Game Awards of 2020, BioWare dropped the very first teaser trailer for the next Mass Effect game, and Holy Lara Tisoni was it was quite the trailer, running at just under 2 minutes. Fans were quick to dig into every second of footage, shown to try and piece together what it might mean for the future of this franchise. So BioWare project director Michael Gamble caused a lot of excitement when he said there is a lot to unpack on Twitter, and the Mass Effect fanbase erupted with interesting theories and thoughts. So firstly, you can hear the very recognizable Horn of Reaper ringing out during the opening sequence. Later on, eagle-eyed fans also noticed you can spot the silhouette of a Reaper in the background. As the mysterious figure, turns out to be Lara, walks through a snowy landscape, Gamble Sorry, Snow Landscape. Mr. Gamble confirmed that you do in fact see Reapers in the trailer, so we like to seeing the remnants of what was left behind after the final showdown with Shepard in Mass Effect 3. So the presence of Lara is also very interesting. There is a lot of speculation surrounding whether the area we see Lara is in fact in the Milky Way, given that she uncovers some N7 armor. Some have even been speculating that she's in fact on Earth, which may suggest that the next adventure is likely a direct sequel. There is also a lot of substantial theories around the possibility that the next is in some way tied to Mass Effect Andromeda, and if it is, it could give us an idea. I think that's completely wrong. I think they will not go down the route of Andromeda because of the problems they had with the game. They will almost certainly be trying to tie the new installment to the original trilogy, and maybe like Star Wars make another trilogy. Andromeda is set some 600 years after Mass Effect 3, and interestingly you can even listen to voice recordings from Lara in Andromeda. Given her long lifespan, it would also make sense for her to be still be knocking around long after Shepard. Well, yeah, quite nice to be living 600 years, don't you think? Compared to our time span of about 60 to 70. The very first time Ryder takes off in the Tempest ship, Godspeed is said to be over comms, which can be heard in the trailer. Gamble also confirmed on Twitter that this was intentional, which has also added more credence to the idea that the next adventure will be linked to Andromeda. Prior to the release of the trailer, many believed it was connected to Andromeda because of the official artwork that was released on N7 Day. In the blog post announcement, the concept art titled Mud Skipper shows the silhouette of 4 figures, one of which has the same build as the Angara, which is a race we first encountered in Andromeda. Could it actually be Jarl? There also appears to be a Salarian and Drell, but who they are is currently unknown. So the very same image can be seen just for a moment when we see Lara turn and smile in the trailer, which suggests she could have been the 4th figure on the far left of the original image. So the big question is, who's actually making the new Mass Effect game? Well, we've heard that it's being made by a veteran team at BioWare. So shortly after the release of the teaser trailer, BioWare project director Michael Gamble highlighted some of the names returning to help create the next step in the franchise on Twitter. For starters, Dusty Everman has rejoined the development team as a principal narrative designer. Gamble mentions that Everman was one of the key contributors when it came to bringing the Normandy skip to life. And was previously a senior level designer to BioWare. Parrish Lee, who previously worked as a cinematic director for the Mass Effect trilogy, is also returning to bring his vision to the new adventure, along with longtime BioWare programmer and technical designer Brennan Holmes and original Mass Effect art director Derek Watts. So this is a group of serious veterans, people who worked on either Mass Effect or other BioWare projects for quite some time. Next big question is, when will the new Mass Effect game be released? And well, we probably will not be seeing an official release date for quite some time, probably 3 or 4 years, especially considering BioWare is still in the early stages of development. What we can bet on is what we'll see will be landing on the Xbox Series X and PS5. Just a thought of knowing we have a next-gen Mass Effect game in the pipeline, and that is really truly exciting. So Mass Effect 5 wishlist, here are the features we're looking for. A more linear mission design. Make it Andromeda 2. An overhauled morality system. The ability to control squad powers. So these are the wishes that the team of Game Radar does have. I'm not sure whether they will be adhering to some of that, but it's quite certain that the character structure of the protagonist will be enhanced and probably diversified. We've seen that recently with The Outer Worlds, where they combined the elements of some other sci-fi games, and most significantly they imported the in-game mechanics of Fallout and combined it with the overall structure of Mass Effect. So you have a massive big universe to explore, and when you tackle NPCs you have lots of questions, usually it's about 8 or 9 questions. So 3 of these questions are your basic response to whatever was coming from the NPC, and they will be always either noble and polite, aggressive or sarcastic. So it's the concept they use for the last 20 years. And in addition to that, you have lots of questions which are attached to that particular NPC or the situation you find yourself in, and the additional questions will always be providing you with some unlockables. You'll be unlocking side quests and missions and extra content. So fundamentally essential to be talking to everyone and asking all the questions. Never ever answer with the answer which is right at the top, because you'll be missing out on the content. You want to be asking all the other questions, and then the main question or the main answer you need to click right in the end. So I think that's the new concept. It is very good. I mean, I love it. I'm not sure whether it will be popular amongst the the regulars. We need to find out. But that is likely to be also then imported to Mass Effect, because that's the next stage of space opera RPG, and I really look forward to that. And more linear mission design, I think some people would be concerned that it's difficult to be following the main quests if every main quest will have about 25-30 side missions attached to it. But it's just part and parcel of the way the open world games work. I personally do not want to have more linear structure, because then it's likely they'll have to abbreviate on the side quests, and as we've seen in Anthem, lots of people who were not familiar with Bioware games, they've gone through the main quest, they just raced through it, and therefore they missed out on the vast majority of the content. And I've seen people saying that they finished the game in 14 hours, which is completely detestable. Honestly, what on earth were you doing? What game were you playing? I completed the main mission I think within about 146 hours. 14 hours, 146 hours. I mean, honestly, you've not even scratched the surface. You touched on less than 10% of the content, and you're writing a review and you're slating the game. So it's dreadful. But everyone who's familiar with Bioware and also with Bethesda games like Elder Scrolls series and Fallout, you'll know you need to be talking to everyone. You need to be exploring the open world. You shouldn't be using your fast travel frequently, because you're missing out on the characters who are kind of drifting through the wilderness. And you'll use your fast travel when you completed the major quest and you're quickly wanting to go back to get some loot or pursue another part of the story. So really, after you explore the whole territory in the area, then you are going back quick. But don't really use fast travel prior to actually walking through some of the open world, because you're missing out on a huge number of NPCs, and therefore you're not having a good picture of what the game actually is like. Right, so that's really about all about Mass Effect 5 and the wishful thinking had occurred in view of the anticipation of the Legendary Edition being released on Friday. So we'll keep it a bit sweet really with some other news. Let's see what else we have in addition to this, because I did see some other news. Yeah, the other game that really caught my eye this weekend, and it will be released shortly, is it's called Hood, Outlaws and Legends, and it just looks amazing. It looks a bit like a mixture, well, a combination of Warzone and Elder Scrolls, or maybe even Gears of War, and can't really wait to see more of it. There's been a lot of advertising through Xbox channel on YouTube and through various broadcasts that they have, so we've seen quite a lot of it. They also supported the recent This Week on Xbox, so the game's coming out I think very shortly, and it's actually being released tomorrow. It's coming out on PS5 and PS4, so yeah, I mean, this is the advert attached to PlayStation, so it's likely that will come out on Xbox as well. We have more news on Mass Effect Legendary Edition, and they're using some mods, so let me see what that is about. Let's see. Mass Effect Legendary Edition used mods as a benchmark for its improvements. Alright. Head over to Nexus Mods and you will find mods for each game in the Mass Effect trilogy, over 1,000 items, over 1,000 of them, with some of the most popular. The graphical overhauls, a lot of textures and a lot of videos. BioWare is aware of these mods, and while working on Mass Effect Legendary Edition, used them as a benchmark. So they said we actually early on looked at some of these mods. Project Director Mac Walters told me and said, okay, well, this is our minimum bar, and from here we have to then go bigger and bigger. Obviously, they have limited access as a modder to the assets that are in there, and we have full access to them. Environment Director Kevin Meek concurred, mentioning while he was initially skeptical of AI upscaling mods, when he looked closer, he was impressed. They are getting these great results with a lot of texture mods and those other up-res ones, he said, so that actually starts us down that kind of the path with some confidence. We knew we could go on and hit the base level AI up-res on all the textures and receive the same amount of visual upgrade, or even more than the mods, because we have a lot of advantages that they do not have. So we get to work on the uncompressed source, full resolution textures. That's a much greater quality image, whereas what they have, it's been crunched down, it's been compressed, it's been put onto disk, and then they up-res off that. So BioWare looked at the mods that are not about improving graphics as well. There's a lot of really popular mods about adding different types of hairs to Shepard, and people who are really popular into wanting some of new casual outfits as you're walking around. Things like that, they kind of helped give us again a bit more confidence, so it is worth to spend a little time to create some new hair options and some new clothing options. I mean, you know that cosmetics and these types of customization options are very, very popular, and I think the most remarkable ones I've seen in recent times was in Skyrim, and it was entirely done through the mods, and there's so many mods on the special edition. So if you're having special edition on Xbox, also on your PC, you can just click on the mods and you can attach all sorts of things to your characters. I've got to say that some of the mods on Xbox do not work 100%, and you'll have some minor glitches, and also if you're using all the mods, you're not getting your achievements. So probably the best thing to do is to run through the game first, get your achievements sorted, and then mod the game, have a second run at a later stage. For me, similar to what he's describing here, in respect of Mass Effect, I did apply to my Skyrim Special Edition. So instead of doing just one single, single player character, I'm just getting lost in my thoughts. Instead of doing just the usual Skyrim, you're getting two companions. So you're doing it as a three-piece. So it actually brings it, I guess, in sync with Mass Effect and Dragon Age, as well as the Outer Worlds, because you have three characters and they're quite chatty and they go everywhere with you, and most importantly, one of the characters is then used as your inventory, and the inventory is quite infinite, so you can be collecting lots of different items and stashing them with that character, and therefore you don't have to go back, ditching them, selling them, whatever. So it's a very, very useful mod that you will really want to be using. In addition to that, the character I brought in is very chatty, and she's very flirtatious. She's always trying to attract me through various kinds of dialogue exchanges, and a true joy to have, basically. So it just changes the nature of the game, and I'm all for it. They said that other popular mods reinstate cut content and work with unused dialogue to, for instance, add the same-sex romances in Mass Effect 2. Yeah, that was a big issue at the time, I remember. Well, the Legendary Edition isn't going for that, with modders still have access to unused assets to recreate those mods. And he said, well, I'm not sure whether any content has explicitly been removed from the depot that we have. So he said, although he was not able to 100% confirm mods like these will be definitely possible. So we'll still have access to them. Well, that's interesting. Well, I'm quite curious to see how these mods are going to be working. And we've seen and heard that the Resident Evil Village, which had been released last Friday, is also going to be letting you earn PS4 and PS5 bonuses. So you're getting that if you are on PlayStation platform, and you do not even need a copy of the game yet. Oh, that's interesting. Let's see. Look at that. The article is not accessible for some reason, not sure why. The game I'm also very excited about is Lost Judgment, and it is an extension of Yakuza series. So we've heard that we'll get a season pass and a fully packed additional story DLC, according to the Japanese PlayStation Store. This could be the first time a Yakuza-style game has received a significant DLC. So let us see what they say, actually. Hang on. I'll give you a bit of that news. Yeah, it's the first one in Yakuza series with the concept of a season pass. According to the Japanese PlayStation Store, This will be the first time that the Yakuza-style game has included such a thing, with previous titles only offering smaller DLCs, and these would contain just special items or unlocks. So the Season Pass will reportedly feature a fully packed additional story, which sounds a lot like an expansion to us, another first for Yakuza. There's also the Detective Life Fun for Pack, the Detective Life Fun Pack, I should say, and the School Stories Fun Pack. We would guess that these are lesser bits and pieces. Said Season Pass will be included in the digital deluxe version of Lost Judgment, or you can buy it separately. Well, that's the new concept. You've seen that the digital deluxe packs always include some of those season passes, and definitely way forward. If you are a dedicated fan of, for instance, Call of Duty or Mass Effect or The Division or Destiny, you'll always go for the top edition. And don't forget, for a game of the magnitude, for a game of that magnitude, you really want to be investing at least $70 to $90 or pounds if you're in Britain, and you want to have that game then, on your system. You want to play it every single day for a couple of years ahead. So it does feel like a good investment. But I've got to say that lots of people who are buying the deluxe editions early, the vast majority, they'll just stick to that game. They will not be investing the same revenue in other games, and that is the reason as to why people are still resorting to a kind of single game community on Twitch and elsewhere. And it's quite interesting because we are pushing the variety gaming through streaming platforms, but it's not picking up. And I can tell you certainly my experience of the streams here on Twitch has been proving me otherwise. It is not going to work, and you will not have people disappearing from your channel, from your community. They'll stay there, but they will not be coming in when you are indeed streaming some other games. So I've had nobody migrating from The Division to Warzone, or vice versa. I've had nobody migrating from, let's say, Dragon Age to Borderlands, or from Borderlands to Halo. It's just that these communities are a bit like a the games are already social networks, and people come in there in order to share views on the game, talk about life, talk about the the kind of personal issues, share everything live online within the community. And it's also based on, I guess, the activity that a particular game would be stimulating. So if you're doing, let's say, Empire of Sin, it's a significantly different type of activity compared to Warzone, and it's not really compatible. But on the other hand, in my community, I'm proud to say I have quite a number of people who are popping in and trying out different games. So they're really variety gamers, always dedicated to several big AAA blockbusters, but they're quite keen on coming in and trying out different games together with us, and that's fantastic. And we'll have more of these people coming in. If you are one of the variety gamers who wants to be enjoying lots of different games on streaming services, send me a message and I'll bring you in, and we can obviously talk live online and create some wonderful content for everyone to enjoy. The inclusion of the Season Pass suggests a change in this approach for Sega and RGG Studio. Since 2014, the developer has been pumping out a new Yakuza title every year or so, and the Season Pass means it can place a greater focus on post-launch support. So it'll be interesting to see just how significant the additional story is. Well, I can tell you, considering what I experienced in Yakuza so far, as I'm playing the trilogy at the moment, the remastered trilogy that is, it is likely to be very, very good, because the story content in there is second to none. It is very busy with lots of characters and activities, and I'm sure the DLCs will be aligned with that. They do not want the quality of the content to be dropping. We heard that Epic Games reportedly offered Sony $200 million for 4 to 6 PC versions of PlayStation exclusives. So that's very interesting. We know that Call of Duty Mobile is basically released on Sony Xperia, and it is aligned, it's partnered with the company, and I certainly can tell you that on my handset it works magnificently well. So the ongoing Epic vs Apple trial has thrown up some really intriguing bits of information, and apparently we've heard that Epic were willing to pay Sony $200 million to get some first-party PlayStation Studios titles as exclusives on the Epic Game Store on PC. Well, it's quite difficult because PlayStation are still resorting to the games being downloadable to PC as their own exclusives, and if you are a subscriber to PS Now streaming services, you can play the entire library on your PC through PlayStation servers. But as you could see, the overall industry is progressing down the cross-platform route, and we are looking at games being accessed on all platforms, everywhere, wherever you are, whenever you want. And I think PlayStation is having some difficulties with that. Epic is popping in, trying to really bribe them into the release of some of the games on through their store, and you will know that PlayStation is quite proprietary really when it comes to what's being sold through their store, and I think that probably was the major issue. And according to PC Gamer, who spotted screenshots of since removed documents posted on Resetra, Epic Games were willing to offer Sony the figure as a minimum guarantee for 4 to 6, that's quite a sizable number, first-party titles. Although it's unclear if this offer was on a per-title basis or whether this was a lump sum for all of them and was awaiting a response, there's no word on which games were potentially up as part of the deal. But as PC Gamer also noted, only two PlayStation exclusive titles have been made, have made it to the Epic Games Store so far, and these two are Predator Hunting Grounds and Ready Set Heroes. Well, you know, lots of rumors floating about, and oh, great news really for anyone who's playing Remnant, because we've heard that crossplay will be available for the first time between Xbox and PC players. So that's the latest really coming from Games Radar. Remnant is available through Xbox Game Pass platform. So if you are in awe of FPS and kind of survival stock horror games, Remnant is going to be definitely up your alley. And they said, let's see, Remnant from the Ashes is receiving a free next-gen upgrade for Xbox One and PS4 players later this week. As revealed by the developer, the upgrade is a major patch and will add the option to run the game at 4K resolution and at 30 FPS on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, or 1080p resolution at 60 FPS on both the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S when it releases on May the 13th. So while the RPG is already available in Microsoft's Xbox Game Pass console, the game will also now be added to the PC Vault too. So it's going to be not just on Game Pass for consoles, but it'll also be accessible through the PC section, PC library I should say, as well as offer crossplay for Xbox and Windows 10 players, but seemingly not for PS4, PS5 players. Well, PlayStation is lagging behind really, it's the fact. We talked about that quite a bit in my live broadcasts, and I think the overall feeling in the community is they really need to get their act together, because if they are not wanting to share the games with other distributors, publishers and entities, they will be really lagging behind. We're still talking about doing just Sony exclusives, and I think Microsoft are going to beat them to it. We've seen Outriders coming to Game Pass. It's the first game that would have been released on the same day, really, for sale as well as for the streaming platform, and it's a third-party title. So they had nothing to do with Microsoft prior to the actual release. They partnered up, I think, in the weeks before the actual launch, and it brought them a huge benefit. Outriders would have never been as successful and as interactive as they are today without that access through Game Pass services, and they've done extremely well through the sales and also through the number of community members who join through Xbox Game Pass. So I think that's the future, whether PlayStation like it or not. Right, we've read all of these news about Remnant, and Uncharted 4 for PS4 was released on this day 5 years ago, and this game still looks insane, and I agree. Uncharted is a fantastic adventure game, and if you have a chance, definitely try any of them. You will definitely love them. Capcom draws Resident Evil Village Werewolf on Hill, and that is confusing all the local citizens. Well, let's see what it did. Let's see what happened. What kind of collateral was there? If you've ever done a long drive in the English countryside, you may have seen one of our giant chalk figures. They're huge drawings made on the sides of hills that typically represent a story from local history or some sort of legend. That is the case in our rural areas of England, and if you're not familiar, sometimes you just drive to Cornwall or drive to any of the home counties, you'll find at least one of those there. Most notably, we have loads of white horses and one guy with his mask clearly displayed, but shaking things up a little bit, Capcom have drawn a shark creature to promote Resident Evil Village. So that's wonderful. Let me see where that is. Oh, that's in Mendip Hill near Cheddar, Somerset. Yeah. And they said mysterious figure had suddenly appeared overnight, and that it was unclear who created the outline of the monster. So it's in Somerset, and if you're interested, just go to my Twitter. You'll be able to see what this creature looks like, and indeed it is very much like the characters in the village. We've heard that Ubisoft will now label all of its own games as Ubisoft Originals. Ubisoft will now brand all of its own games as Ubisoft Originals. It's a new division. Assassin's Creed and Far Cry publisher Ubisoft will now brand all of its games made by internal studios as Ubisoft Originals. The name first cropped up last week when Ubisoft announced Tom Clancy's Division Heartland, a new free-to-play spin-off due later this week or early next. I'm very excited about this. I played the Division 1 and 2 and had a lot of fun. We have really very good community here on PlayStation attached to it, and look forward to that free-to-play. I think Heartland is likely to be like Warzone, so if you are a Warzone fan, just get ready, you might like it. And quite frankly, the tactical shooters are presently divided into 3 different sections. Warzone and Rainbow Six are the main ones, because obviously they're PvP, and then you'll have the Division with PvE and with some PvP in the Dark Zone. So the Division is a wonderful game, and irrespective of what people had said, I enjoyed both installments, and definitely always like coming back to it. Always great to go back there and be one of the operators and chase the enemies. The Division 2 in particular, it provides it with huge content and lots of side missions, and it's very enjoyable. And also you have this section called the Dark Zone where you really don't know whether you're being attacked by AI or another guy, and makes it really very, very challenging. And being the Dark Zone is a bit like doing the Crucible in Destiny, still by far the most popular activity in the game. When asked whether this label meant anything more than fancy new branding, a Ubisoft spokesman told Eurogamer today that moving forward, the Ubisoft Original mention is attached to all of Ubisoft games created by in-house by our talented developers. So quite interested to see how this is going to be developing. If Ubisoft were looking to release games from other developers in the future, that's the question, whether they will be also released. I don't know really, because Ubisoft obviously has been releasing their own games, but well, we'll see really. Just thinking aloud, I think it's interesting, and they will be offering separate streaming platforms. We've seen EA Play being fully integrated with Xbox Game Pass, and then you have the others that are not, and we need to wait and see. But I'm very excited about The Division Heartland. Honestly, it's probably going to be one of my favorite, most hotly anticipated games of the next year. And we'll end on a very, very important announcement. I think some of you who have not been following my streams here or reading my Twitter perhaps have missed out on the fact that recently PlayStation Magazine had died, and they have gone into a different format which is called Play Magazine. And it's interesting, PlayStation Magazine had been run for 2 decades, I think, ever since the PlayStation was launched, and I was buying it and reading it for many, many years, and I really loved the magazine, similar to Xbox magazine, which also had died, and they've always provided me with a lot of great content, wonderful information on the new games, but in the age of podcasts and online streams, very, very few people were buying these glossy and very expensive magazines every single month. They try to attract the readers with posters and with DVDs and CDs and all sorts. All of that's just gone out of the window. Nobody's interested anymore, and I think their circulation from the original few 100,000 has gone down to about 8,000 or 9,000 a month, and that is just utterly ridiculous considering the expense. Obviously a very large team working on the magazine and the production cost, distribution, you name it. So they've gone down the route of renaming it, and it is going to be provided in a different format. It looks completely different. It doesn't have anything attached to PlayStation, and it's called simply Play Magazine, which means from being a proprietary paper publication attached to PlayStation from the beginning, it is now going to be giving you articles and content that is based on cross-platform access. And let's face the facts, this is the future. Do you remember? Well, you will not remember. I wouldn't remember that either, but I've heard about it. When television was launched in the 50s, there were lots of people who thought that television was extremely bad, that it would give you cancer, that you would simply have to avoid it. It's not a good way of really experiencing the world. Can you imagine today's world without television? the same way as people said things about mobile phones and various other inventions. We are all very skeptical. We are creatures of habit. We do not like that degree of fast change, and that's the reason as to why lots of people are rejecting it. So I think PlayStation are still sticking to the old ways, in the same way as the phonographic industry. People doing music were thinking they'd be able to keep up with the price of DVDs until Kingdom came, and that basically turned out to be a fluke and a lost industry. So, unless you are really flexible, and the fact is, shareholders in these companies are usually very, very sort of mature gentlemen, people who have passed the 60s, and not always all of them would be in tune with the latest developments, and that really affects the degree of investment. So, the younger generation of people who are presently executives in Microsoft have been evolving from long-time gamers, and they're a lot more flexible than any other group of executives I personally would have come across, and therefore they're reaping rewards. These are the men in the 50s that play games for the last 30 years, and they know what the challenges and the exciting opportunities really are out there amongst the gamers and the viewers, and they want to capitalize on that. They want to make sure that the gaming industry is not purely about profit making, although we've seen the publishers like Activision make a huge amount of money through the eco model, which is brand new. Offer your game for free, but give everything through Battle Pass on huge price, and you get as many participants as possible. Shouldn't say on a high price, it's on an acceptable price, right? We'll be looking at the numbers of people coming in and buying the product. So if you have, let's say, 150 million people playing Warzone every single day, and amongst them 100 million people will be buying the Battle Pass, this is a huge revenue. And to make $3 billion in less than 12 months is a staggering figure. And they made the money on a game that's offered for free. So you could see how carefully, how cleverly the whole concept was indeed built and offered. And I think it's the best concept so far. I honestly think that, because it's an option. If you want to purchase Battle Pass, you can. You don't really need it to excel. But incidentally, people are quite keen on wearing interesting outfits and attracting other participants in the arena through wearing those, and it's just a fact. It's the best possible way through which you are building your communities, and also at the same time you're supporting the publisher and the developer, and the packs are not too expensive. This is the other very important thing. The DLCs and the games in the past on physical products were very expensive, and today they know that the interest is so great, the access is so massive from anywhere on the planet, that it's all down to the quality content and attractive designs. I mean, think of PUBG. PUBG did start out as a tactical shooter, and it was attracting huge amounts of people from worldwide, but they've changed the route a bit. Instead of investing in technical development and maybe advanced maps, they've gone down the route of developing costumes and live events, and these are hilarious. So you have a combination of people who are playing it for the scores in tactical shooter games, with very many who are doing it for fun, and wearing bunny costumes and anything else which is related to Chinese Lunar Year or whatever, and it's great fun. So it's definitely a great model for everyone to entertain and to enjoy, and I absolutely wholeheartedly embrace it and support it. I like everything. Hang on a minute, I've lost my stream now for some reason. I like the idea where we are given these options, similar to what we have with streaming platforms. If you want to play this, let's say, Gears Tactics. Gears Tactics is proprietary to Microsoft, so it's always going to be accessible through Game Pass or any other streaming platform. So for instance, if I really love the game, I can purchase it, and I can purchase it as a subscriber to the Ultimate on a fraction of the price. Usually the discount will be anything between 30 to 60%, and this will make me buy the game, because I like games to be, I like collecting games, and that for me is of a tremendous advantage. It's a choice. I don't have to buy it. Similar to Halo, the Master Chief Collection, it's there. I can use it, anywhere at any time. But still, if you really want to own the game, if you love it, like for instance, I love Halo, I love Dragon Age and Fallout, and all the big games, Mass Effect, and obviously I want to own these games, so I want to be able to play them anywhere, wherever I am, irrespective of whether I have connection to the Game Pass, etc., etc. So I think as a new economic model, it is definitely very good, and I support it, and I think there will be lots and lots of benefits arising from it in the near future. You know, we all change, new directions evolve, and we need to be quite flexible and open-minded in order to embrace these challenges, because we've seen that the advancement of technology is affecting everything from the way we communicate to the way the economy works, and particularly during the times of this dreadful pandemic, we did see that the entire economy, world economy, came to a halt, and you know, it needs to be fully understood. If we do not want to be embracing new inventions, we are going to be left behind. So we've heard that PlayStation Magazine has been renamed, and it's now called Play Magazine. You'll be able to pick it up in your local WH Smiths or any other local news agent, and it does have all the news related to PS4, PS5 and PSVR every month, together with the news attached to other platforms, and they're also offering a new pack. If you want to be embrace the new magazine, you can subscribe, and then you will get the special, the first special 5 issues for £5 or $5. So it's similar to what we have with the ultimate subscription. You pay $1, access the whole service for 1 month, and then you pay the full price. Alright, my friends, that's probably all that I have for you today. There are still some other bits of news here, but we'll actually expand on that tomorrow. And hope you enjoyed all the news and all we talked about today. It's been definitely very enjoyable for me. And I want to tell you that we are now going to be progressing to what we like doing the best, gameplay. The next slot in about 5 minutes. I need to have a break and to have a bite to eat, a bit of lunch, and then we'll have DRBMiller introducing Peaky Blinders today. And very, very excited to see what the game's like, hoping that the game's still running, because sometimes the cut-off run 4 or 5 o'clock, but still an hour should be plenty fast to try. And I think what I've seen so far indicates that Peaky Blinders is very similar to Empire of Sin, and therefore I'm going to be loving it. And if I am to be in awe of the game, I will purchase it immediately, because it was offered recently at a very low price, and I was having my second thoughts. And it's a principle. I want to try the game first before buying it. It's, you know, simple as that. It is the way it is with those streaming platforms, and my games collection has grown tremendously during the last 4 years since they introduced the live streaming services. Honestly, so many games I bought that previously I would have never even considered, and this is the way forward. So we'll have a look at Peaky Blinders in about 10 minutes. Stay with us, I'll be back, and then we'll carry on. See you all later.